Say yes every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
Are you looking for an AMC that is dedicated to your success? Well, look no further than Appraisal Nation. They provide seamless residential and commercial valuations in every county across America with the fastest turn times and lowest revision rates. From single family homes to commercial properties, they have you covered. Trust Appraisal Nation as your reliable partner for all valuation needs. Visit appraisalnation.com and remember, Appraisal Nation is dedicated to your success because we are stronger together. Hey, thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are joined by the fabulous Gabi Wiartalla. She is the Director of Outside Sales at Next Door Lending. Gabi, thank you so much for joining us today, and I cannot wait to hear all of your insights and perspectives. Okay. So to kick us off, what we like to do on Wednesday Wisdom is we like to start with some advice or some teachings that you have received and how you are applying that to your personal and professional lives. So Gabi, kick us off. Give us one of your best pieces of advice or teachings that you have received.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you. So as far as one of my favorite teachings is a quote that my dad said to me when I was young, when I was little. And it was, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can have all the money in the world, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean a thing unless you have the time to spend it. And to me, it didn't mean that I shouldn't work hard. I mean, he was a businessman. He owned his own business. It's certainly not what he meant. It didn't mean that I shouldn't be working hard, but it did translate to that if I am going to put in all of this time and this effort and build something great to where I'm putting myself in a good position, that I better be using my time wisely and then use all of the fruits of my labor to benefit those around me, benefit my family, and live a fulfilled life.
Wow, that is so profound. And a couple of things come to my mind. Two things, actually. One, Denzel Washington there's a speech that I've watched many times on YouTube. And he tells a story of how, I don't know if you know this story, but there's a story about how he was kind of lost as a young gentleman. And his mom had a beauty salon. And he would go into the beauty salon all the time. And all the women would be like, oh, you're so cute and you're so great. And there was this one woman that said, I see something in you. And you're going to be known all across the world and you're going to be famous. And of course, he was just a teenager and he was like, yeah, right, whatever. But he realized that that was his passion of where he was going to be in life. And as he became more and more successful, very similar to your father's advice, he realized that you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse, meaning that you can't take it with you. So as you're going up and as you're becoming successful in life and as you are growing in your career, those moments should be enjoyed with like you said, the fruits of your labor at that moment. And then it's interesting. I was just having a conversation this morning with a woman, and we were speaking about, she was about to go on a cruise with her family. And we were having a conversation about how, have you ever tried to recreate something, but when you do it the second time, it's never like the memory you had the first time? So she was saying that we've done things where we've had like a great moment in our life. Let's just use going on a cruise. And then we're like, oh, I want to do this again next year. But when you do it the next time, it's not the same experience because we change. The point of that goes with exactly what your father gave that advice, that as we're going through our lives, we're in different seasons. We're in different cycles of our lives. So when that moment happens, enjoy it at that moment. because that's the moment you're supposed to experience it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Gabi. Like, Gabi, now that you had this great advice from your father, you're applying it to your life, to your business and your professional life. Please tell us, how have you taken that advice and kind of in that same realm of what we were just discussing, how does that play into your everyday life?
That's a great question. So I look at it in buckets. So not only, of course, is it applying when I'm looking at the business side of things, but especially my family time, right? So in business, it's more so optimizing, using this time wisely, but also using it to build up others around you. Right? At the end of the day, you can't hoard it all. Share the success, because when other people around you grow, you grow. And then of course, at home, it's more so geared towards exactly what you said with experiences, right? As businesswomen, as working parents, mom or dad, right? There's not just this endless time with your family. You really have to optimize these moments and times that you have. So it's about taking again, like we were just talking about, the fruits of your labor and then applying it to these memorable experiences, or spending it on things that will directly impact and benefit your family. So maybe that's private schooling, or setting up, a fund for my daughter, or being able to travel with them, or sharing a hobby like horseback riding with my little one. Things like that, yes, they do have monetary value applied, but it's more about building those values and experiences together and using it.
I love that. And the moment you started speaking about the professional side, in terms of you're investing in other people.
Mhm.
And, whether you apply this personally or professionally, those dividends are limitless, right? When we take the time to invest in others, whether it's education, whether it's support, or whether it's just listening, right? Guiding them, being able to connect and share that moment, that investment will continue to grow and grow and grow over time. So it's interesting how, yes, when we speak about time, we speak about memories and things like that. A lot of times we are applying it to our personal life, but the same concept is happening in our business. It's exactly the same thing, whether it's our team members or whether it's our clients or our partners in business, right? I mean, we have relationships with everyone, whether it's the lenders we work with, whether it's the vendors we work with, whether it's the technology we work with. All of those things are investments of our time that once we make those moments happen that are memorable, they keep building and building and building. Even if it's a bad situation, meaning even when a mistake happens, mistakes are great opportunities to be able to bond, right? So I'd love to hear that, Gabi. Give me your thoughts on that. Let's take something does not go the way we plan. How do you use that to build upon?
So it's funny you say that, and my husband would absolutely love to hear you say this, because his favorite thing to say to me is, you love to learn the hard way. And I do. I learn best, and it sticks when you make a mistake. All of us want to learn in the light and fluffy way and just be told and guided what to do. But at the end of the day, that's not where those critical thinking skills come in. It's not where the business skills come in. It's not where the growth comes in. Growth comes in when you make mistakes and you get to figure it out and you get to learn from it, and you're, smack between the eyes with it. So not only does it happen, I'm sure with anybody, right? It happens to somebody personally, but it also happens on a team level, right? With those people around you. And you can use that to be able to help others grow, as well as obviously yourself, who, when you make mistakes.
I love that. And you are right. That's when the biggest growth happens. And that's why, we hear it all the time. Don't be afraid to fail. Doesn't mean we want to set ourselves up that way, but don't be afraid of it. Because those are the moments, I can speak for myself. It had to have been the early 2000s. There was a mistake on a loan that I did, where it was the very first loan that I did in the country, meaning I was used to doing loans of people in the city. And I had a loan where they had a well and a septic. And it was the very first loan ever in my career with a well and a septic. And I did not know that you needed well and septic certs or anything about it. I will tell you, to this day, I can still remember that guideline in my brain and the conversation I had to have with that family, and learn that lesson to where I will never forget that for the whole rest of my life, because I felt so bad not communicating that properly to that family. But I'll never do it again. It will never ever happen, right? So sometimes, yes, sometimes we have to make that mistake in order for us to remember it and have it hit us, and for us to learn and grow that, sure, maybe I hadn't done loans in the country before. Well, what else? Maybe I haven't done high-rise condos in Florida. Like, maybe, like, I have to research and I have to do the homework before communicating with a family. That's the lesson, right?
Oh, you are so spot on. You are so incredibly spot on.
All right. Well, Gabi, this has been phenomenal. And we've come to the point that we would love to hear your piece of advice that you would like to share with everyone out there listening today.
Oh, of course. Well, thank you. My favorite quote, especially lately, and being in leadership and being in this industry, as far as also just an attitude to bring into the workspace every day, the best advice that I can give is, you win, I win. Just very simply put, we're in a very competitive space where everyone a lot of times is very concerned about their own growth, where the next loan is coming from, if they're number one, how they can get there. You know, is it easier to take a loan from somebody or tear somebody else down? And unfortunately, you know, we're in sales. Mentality and being in a good mental headspace and having good energy and good culture and good people around you is a lot of where a success from your business will come. So having that mentality of seeing the wins with the people on your team, seeing the wins with a competitor, and growing together and celebrating their wins, even if you're not winning, I think is so important, because it gets you in a better headspace, because you are being a positive person. Not only are you being more attractive to those around you by being positive and supporting them, but it just comes back around. When you are in a better headspace and you are more positive, you sell better. And just naturally, when you surround yourself with winners, you're not going to just be the person that falls short. Right? That's generally not how it happens. It helps build you up as well, right? So it's this big feedback loop that I think that we forget about in such a competitive space. And it's really what I try to come in with, that attitude and that vision every day, and do that with my team as well. And it's really how we function together.
I absolutely love that. And all that was running through my brain at that moment was growth and abundant mindset, right? That's what you're speaking about. But here's what I want to kind of go a little bit further on this, right? Because you are 1000% correct, but we all know as humans, when we start falling into this cycle, right? Sometimes what happens is we start leaning towards the people that actually are the, pity party, the limited beliefs, it's because the rates are too high, or it's because of inventory, and almost these excuses, right? So with that, I'd like to know, what's your piece of advice that if you do start to see yourself falling into this, how do you get out of it, right? Like, what would be your piece of advice of, if you start to see that slip, how do you kind of readjust yourself?
So for me personally, I just take the view, and even if it doesn't happen in business, whether it be home, having a kid, whatever it is, nothing is forever. True. Right? These trends are not forever. The tough times, your kid's not sleeping during the night isn't forever. High interest rates aren't forever. Strict guidelines aren't forever. Down payment assistance isn't forever. You have to understand that we are in a business that is constantly evolving, right? People need to understand that. Of course, you understand that. People need to remember that this is a constantly evolving business. It's okay, even if you do have a couple tough weeks, tough months. You might even have a tough year. And that is okay. That is what this industry is about. And that just translates into trying to be prepared for those tough times, right? That's a different angle, but that's what I constantly try to remember, is that if I have a bad day, bad month, bad week, bad couple months, whatever it might be, especially in the previous markets that we've had, that it is not forever, and that I ultimately can control my own destiny with that.
100%. And that is the joy of being in sales, right? Is that we can control our own. And you mentioned it before. Surround yourself with people that do have a good mindset and rely on that. Sometimes you got to say, okay, what am I listening today? What music, what podcast, who can I reach out to? What friend is going to kind of whip me around, or my team member, or whoever I need to go to? Because as humans, yes, sometimes we need to kind of get pulled through, and that's okay. It's understandable. Catch yourself when you start leaning towards the pity party. Go, whoa, I see what's happening here. I need a change. We are human. We understand that every day is not rainbows and sunshine and unicorns. We get that. But to your point, it is cyclical, right? It is cyclical. Don't stop planting, because the harvest is not coming if we're not planting. So always continue to plant, and always continue to nurture, and always continue to watch those little seeds, because you'll be surprised sometimes when those seeds start popping up and the growth season and the harvest season appears. Gabi.
That's so well put. Analogy.
Gabi, thank you so much for your insights, for your passion, for your perspectives and your wisdom that you have shared with all of us. We wish you all the best success, and keep shining brightly, my friend.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It's been an honor.